Hey guys, this is Josh from Social Status. We are a premier social media marketing agency based in Melbourne, and real estate is an industry in which we do a lot of work. Primarily what we do for real estate is market agencies and franchises. We manage the personal brand marketing for a handful of agency directors. What we don't do a lot of is the individual agent social media marketing because I often advocate real estate agents doing it themselves, and with a little bit of guidance and a framework, I think it's much better if they do. Something I get asked all the time by real estate agents is, how do I run my social media? How do I make it work? How do I get results? How do I make sure I'm actually getting seen by people? And ultimately, how can I try to encourage them to convert into an appraisal or a listing? I often will sit down with an agent who asks me that for half an hour or an hour and go through the methodology and coach them. I'm quite generous with the knowledge I have on it because I'm not really trying to manage agents' social media anyway, and I genuinely am passionate about helping people use social media to market themselves. Real estate has a really clear relationship with social. I'm sure I don't have to tell you, 2 or 3 years ago I was trying to convince real estate agents about how they should be getting on social. Some listened to me and some didn't. And now I don't have to. You would be acutely aware of innovators and disruptors coming into real estate who are tech savvy and really leveraging social media marketing to get themselves ahead of their competitors. And then there's some kind of people from a bit of a time gone by who are struggling to work out how they're supposed to be competing on this platform that is a little foreign to them. So I'm gonna film this video today to walk you through our methodology, some tips and tricks, some pitfalls, and just generally give you some confidence around how you should be managing your social media in a way that you can be consistent and expect to actually see results, instead of what tends to happen to most real estate agents is they give it a go, it doesn't really work, they try it for a week or a month, and then they quit because they're busy or they just don't really enjoy it, or they don't understand how it's going to ever produce some return on their investment. I'm going to divide this into 5 parts and fly through them in as much detail while keeping it simple as I can. Bear with me, let's go. So, strategy. Who are you? Why are you different? How are you positioned? Are you successful? Have you been in the area forever? Are you new and disruptive? Do you sell more houses than anyone else? Do you have better customer service and always go the extra mile? Whatever it is, I encourage you to really inspect what it is about you that makes you different. The common feedback I get from consumers is, if I'm not looking to sell my house and I don't know who you are, then why would I care about a sold photo, a board with a sold sticker on it that you've just posted, because I just don't really give a shit. So, this process is largely about combating that, making people in your area aware of you for one, know you, like you, trust you, and then consider you when it comes time to list their property. So, let's talk about platforms and posting. Firstly, I always recommend real estate agents be across Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. These are the 3 biggest, easiest to use, most relevant platforms for real estate from both the agent and the consumer and the agency side. Posting, I recommend, it's all about consistency, so at the very least 3 times a week. And if you were to set yourself a goal of Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you know when you're supposed to post and when you're not, as opposed to having it on your to-do list and always putting it off. Content is king, as they say. It's important that you know what you're posting and you've got purpose behind it, because otherwise you just are gonna get lost. We always divide real estate into pillars, and we typically use the 4 same content pillars depending on how they're differentiated, and they go something like this. Property, goes without saying, opens, auctions, listings, sales. You need to post about this because it's what you do for a living. People. The first pillar is obvious, and a lot of people stop there, which is what makes a boring, one-dimensional real estate agent on social media. People buy from people. Your personality and the people that you associate with and partner with are really what's going to differentiate you. So whether you're into cycling or surfing, or you have a family, or you're just so addicted to real estate that you work 17-hour days, showing off your personality and what you're up to is really, really important. We also advocate you sharing your colleagues, your co-workers, your admin staff, the buyers that the sellers, the vendors that you're working with. Just psychologically, people are more inclined to view and explore content that has other humans in it, as opposed to a photo of a sold sign or a facade. If you're a one-man band or you don't have a whole lot of personality, community is a really excellent thing to fit into that people pillar. Where do you get coffees every morning? Who are your partners? What local events do you sponsor? You know, you're able to get people into your content by promoting and cross-promoting with local areas and events in your community, which also tends to get a really strong and positive reaction from the house owners and investors in your community. Thought leadership. You would be surprised that the knowledge you have in your head and think is elementary is things that are really, really interesting to the consumer. What's happening in the market? What trends are you seeing? What do you foresee will happen soon? What was the clearance rate on the weekend? It doesn't really matter. Keep it short. Put information out there that educates people on what's happening. It will immediately position you as an expert and increase the likelihood that they're going to ask you questions. Ultimately, can you help me sell my home? And then finally, engagement. This is the X factor of the content types. The first three are relatively one-dimensional in their own right. Engagement is about having a bit of fun, and if you are that way inclined to have a bit of a joke or share relatable content or a meme or make fun of kind of one of your co-workers with an inside joke that you have, or that you've gone to an open for inspection but you've forgotten the keys and are stuck in the rain, whatever it is, just have a bit of fun. And if you're not so much a humorous person, well then educating is the other component to it. You teach people, you ask them questions in your content. You can say, do you like modern or contemporary homes? Or, you know, share a story about when you were starting out in real estate. Whatever it is, engagement content is built to be fun, interesting, educational. It's not promotional. You don't talk about the houses you're selling. You don't try to flog the properties you've got listed. You entertain and educate. Audience and boosting. A huge trick on social media that most agents drop the ball on is putting a small amount of money into your content to ensure it's hitting the right people at scale. A lot of people post on their social media and then they wonder, why aren't I getting likes? Why aren't I reaching people? Why aren't I getting any followers? Followers aren't the be all and end all, but getting in front of people is. So Facebook and Instagram used to be really easy to get in front of your audience. Then as time went on and it became more of an advertising conglomerate, now all they ask is that you pay maybe $10 or $5 or $20 when you're putting out a piece of content. Not every post, but the ones that are relevant and promotional towards you, which then allows you to target people who live in the suburbs that you service, are of a certain age or demographic or family composition. Let's say they have kids in private schools, you can target that. And they're interested in property investment, realestate.com domain. If anybody's ever tried a boost before, you'll know what I'm talking about. Don't overthink it. When you put a piece of content up, put $5 or $10 or $20 into it and target your area. Make sure you're always targeting the same audience so that you're actually getting repetition with that group of people, not different people, different posts every time. Bloody dog's breakfast. Finally, tracking. Now that you have a strategy and some structure in place, you'll have a lot more confidence in following those steps and then keeping an eye on what's working and what isn't. As long as your social accounts are hitting more than 10,000 people a month, you know, maybe 50,000 people live in your geo area. If you're hitting 10 or 20,000 of them, that's a really solid portion of your local audience. And over time, you'll eventually be hitting all those people month to month. Much like going to the gym, if you go 3 times a week for a month and then quit, it's not really going to give you a good result. But if you stay consistent and keep posting same time, same budget, same audiences, you'll start to, 1, really notice an uplift in your online activity, 2, receive an increase in inquiries and appraisal opportunities, which is the name of the game, and 3, be able to tell, once you've been doing it for a while, which of your content pillars are performing well, what's getting a great reaction, what isn't, and then you can use that data to make decisions about what you do more or less of in the future. Bam, now we're working with some structure. And that's basically it. You know, social media can be confusing and overwhelming, and especially if you're not an expert and you have other things that you need to spend your attention and time on, it doesn't have to be complicated. Post regularly, come up with some content pillars so that you have structure with what you need to be putting out there. Boost it for a little bit of money so that you're actually hitting the right types of people, and keep an eye on how it's performing so that you know what you're doing, if it's improving or decreasing your results. That's it. Now, I've got some bonus points here for those who what I've just walked you through isn't too overwhelming. If what I've just told you sounds like that's going to be a lot of work, good. that'll do for now. If you think you can go the extra mile from there, here are 3 bonus tips that are really going to increase your social media results, particularly converting it into inquiries and appraisals and listings. Firstly, cross-promoting. Tag in your posts your agency, and hopefully they'll share your content onto their feed. Tag local businesses and partners, and if they'll allow you to, tag the vendors of the homes that you're selling. Each time you tag a business, an audience, or a person, you'll all of a sudden be exposed to their audience. They can share and interact with you. It's a great way to increase your exposure among people who you really know are relevant and prospective sellers. Next, stories. Stories have become a really large part of Instagram marketing and generally usage on the platform. They're fun to make, they can be less polished, they only stick around for 24 hours. They're meant to be behind the scenes, unpolished content. If you're comfortable, whip your phone out when you're doing your day-to-day, share it as a story, and you'll just give your followers an extra dimension of behind the scenes activity or getting to know you. Instagram favors people who use more of the tools and functionality on their system, so stories as well as posts will increase your reach. And finally, remarketing. All of that stuff I've taught you is about having a good, strong, consistent foundation on social media. The secret sauce we use to convert that into tangible returns is remarketing. You can remarket people who have visited your website, liked any or engaged with any of your social media content in the past 30, 60, 100 days. People who are part of your database and their connections. That basically allows you to use social media as a big funnel where you're hitting 10 or 20,000 local people a month with your content, and then they're clicking and interacting and showing that they're interested by watching your content or sharing it, and all of a sudden it creates this audience of a few hundred people at the bottom that you know are engaged, interested, and following you actively. Those are the people that you can set audiences up and target more specific advertisements to, saying, would you like to have a chat to me about the value of your home in the current market? Click here to book an appraisal. That is really the secret sauce. Hopefully that information has given you a ton of value, but it isn't too overwhelming. Like I said, I'm passionate about sharing this stuff with agents so that you guys can be leveraging the future of marketing to ensure that, you know, in 6 months or 1 year or 5 years, you'll really have a strong foundation online that generates you consistent business. If you have any questions, please let me know. Send me an email or comment below. Excited to be sharing this stuff, and I'll see you on the next one.